institution for cooperating with us and agreeing to share your practice on our platform. Thank you so much to all of you and wish you all good luck and good best and quality day for all of you. Thank you so much. Back to Devendra Kaude. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rama Madam, for explaining the things very nicely, specifically the thing which we like about it as five-stage application strategy, which we were talking about, the identification, implementation, institutionalization, internalization, dissemination, and results. Very nicely spoken, explained with a tune to match with the stakeholders' expectation. And we are going to learn a lot from today from the stakeholder of higher education, specifically from Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda Institute to explore the same about the panelists. I request Dr. Ruchi Tripathi to introduce the panelists. Ruchi Tripathi, Dr. Ruchi.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay. सभी को प्रणाम and namaskar. Good morning, one and all present here. Welcome to everybody in 8th Best Practice webinar organized by National Assessment and Accreditation Council with the collaboration of Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda Education and Research Institute on the topic of evolving a harmonious blend of the two science, natural and humanistic. First of all, I'm going to introduce Swami Atmapriyananda sir, Pro-Chancellor. Swami Atmapriyananda sir is the first Vice-Chancellor of the university established by Ramakrishna Mission as a humble attempt to actualize Swami Vivekananda educational vision of creating a harmonious blend of natural and humanistic science, modern science and technology with ancient spiritual wisdom of India. Swami Atmapriyananda sir received his master in science, physics and doctorate in theoretical physics for his work in elementary particle theory and has a number of research publications in this area in reputed international journals. Sir joined the Ramakrishna order of monks in 1978, inspired by Ramakrishna Vivekananda ideology of spiritual liberation and combined with service to humanity in the spirit of worship of God and man, and has been serving in higher education institutions for more than 4 decades. He is a member of several global organizations working for interreligious understanding, peace and harmony, and holistic welfare of children, which require him to travel extensively in India and abroad as invited speaker to preach and interact with eager spiritual seekers. During the last decade, that is 2008 to 2019, he made about 48 trips to various countries, which include Thailand, Italy, Germany, France, England, etc. So I heartily welcome to Swami Atmananda Priya sir in this program. Sir, namaskar or pranam. Now, second, I'm going to introduce Vice Chancellor Swami Sarvottam Nanda sir. Swami Sarvottam Nanda sir, Vice Chancellor of RKMVERI, is a monk of Ramakrishna Mission for more than 2.5 decades. He is an active researcher in the field of computational geometry. Earlier, he got his doctoral degree in computer science for his contribution in the field of computational geometry from IIT Kanpur, from where he also obtained his BTech and MTech degree. He is also in the editorial board of a reputed international journal on discrete and applied mathematics. Sir, आपका heartful welcome in NAAC. Now I'm going to introduce IQAC coordinator, Professor Swami Belur Mutt Campus. Swami Dhyagnananda sir, he is the head of the Department of Computer Science and IQAC lead for the Belur campus of RKMVERI. He is a monk of Ramakrishna Mission for 2 decades. After a brief professional stint in Siemens for 5 years, his research interest in the field of computer science include graph theory and graph algorithm. Having graduated from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, he obtained a doctorate degree in computer science from Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata. Today he will direct the talks on the best practice. Sir, आपका heartful welcome. Welcome, sir. We have also included other stakeholders from the Vivekananda University. Dr. Muttei, Dean of Faculty of Disability Management and Special Education, sir, welcome. Another Dr. Goswami, sir, Professor in Faculty of Integrated Rural Development Management, welcome, sir. Dr. Dipankar Chatterjee, Professor in Agriculture and Rural Tribal Development, सर आपका यहाँ पे स्वागत है. डॉक्टर आदित्य, असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर इन डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ फिजिक्स, वेलकम सर. Swami Vedanand Nanda sir, Assistant Professor in the Department of Sanskrit. Welcome sir. And Swami Kirti Pandey Nanda sir, Registrar. Welcome sir. So for each stakeholder, with respectfully welcome in National Assessment and Accreditation Council for today Best Practice Program. Thank you sir. Over to Kavri sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ruchi. Now I request the panelists of Ramakrishna Mission to please proceed with the presentation.
So Swami Atma Priyananda, I am the Pro-Chancellor now. I was the Vice-Chancellor of this university for about 15 years. I was the first Vice-Chancellor. Recently, I handed over charge to Swami Sarvottamananda, who is here as the Vice-Chancellor. So I will very briefly talk about the topic of the seminar, why we chose evolving harmonious blend of the two sciences, natural and humanistic. Before we go, as is usual traditional custom, we will begin with a small Shanti mantra, which is universal in nature, although in Sanskrit, which talks about how the taught and the teacher come together and invoke the blessings of the Supreme Being so that their education and a learning process may be effective and illuminative. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviram Pravahai Devasya Navadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti. May the Supreme Being protect both the teacher and the taught by revealing to them the true nature of knowledge and the application of knowledge. May the teacher and the taught together strive to acquire knowledge and wisdom. May the knowledge and the wisdom that is acquired with the teacher and the taught be effective and illuminative, and may there be no disharmony between the teacher and the taught. Om, peace, peace, peace. Om, that existence. Swami Vivekananda had a small interaction with Sir Jamshedji Tata in 1893 when they were traveling in the same ship to Chicago. This was a meeting of two great minds in India. When Swami Vivekananda is supposed to have told Jamshedji, which is known from Jamshedji's own reply to Swami Vivekananda, where he said, we need to create an institution in India where Indian youth will be empowered through education in science, because the British would never do this. And Jamshedji says, and they will cultivate sciences both natural and humanistic. This is a great prophetic vision, which is the basis of this university. And Swami Vivekananda, on the 4th of July 1902, the day when he passed away, threw off his mortal coil in Mahasamadhi, he made a statement saying, keeping the ancient Indian spiritual roots and tradition intact and blending them harmoniously with modern science and technology, we should have a university. So Swami Sarvottamananda, the Vice Chancellor, talked more about the vision. So natural sciences are the sciences that look at the external world. Humanistic sciences concern the human being. What is the nature of a human being has been elaborately explored in the inner sciences of India, which we call spirituality. How these two can come together? Swami Vivekananda was a pioneer who initiated this blend of natural humanistic sciences, what we call the science and religion. In a lecture in Jnana Yoga delivered in London, he says, science and religion should come and shake hands. Poetry and philosophy should become friends. This shall be the religion of the future, and if we can work it out, it will be for all peoples, for all times. This is a great prophetic vision on which this is based, and based on this, we selected certain thrust areas, which we call the gap areas in the sense, these areas are not usually discussed and addressed by conventional universities in India. So these are rehabilitation sciences and sports sciences in Coimbatore campus in Tamil Nadu, School of Agriculture and Rural Development in Narendrapur in Calcutta and Ranchi in Jharkhand. And we have also a School of Mathematical Sciences along with the School of Indian Heritage. As Swami Vivekananda said, the blend of these two, which are in Belur Math, and we have recently started School of Biological Sciences, and we also have, along with that, School of Environment and Disaster Management. These are the various schools which try to blend the humanistic and natural sciences, and we have developed several practices based on the ancient tradition and put in the modern form, the modern idiom, so as to be acceptable for all the modern students. So this is our presentation in which we have brought together all the schools and the experts in the schools and whatever we have done. So one by one we'll be able to present them. So with this, I thank the NAAC for giving us this great opportunity of bringing together the best practices of various institutions. We got the highest A++ grade, and so that we can share, as Dr. Rama beautifully said, we can share, we can learn, we can evolve, we can customize the practices according to time as things move forward. In these difficult times of the COVID-19, the whole paradigm is shifting, and hope we will be able to move forward and learn newer and newer things. Namaskar. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Swami Sarvottamananda will speak about the vision of the mission.
First, because the purpose of this seminar is best practice, I will be very brief about the vision and mission. And thank you for, thanks to Dr. Rama for telling us the purpose of this seminar. The vision of Ramakrishna Mission, Vivekananda Educational Research and Institute is to be a great center of learning. And the method is to, by blending the twin excellences of Indian ancient wisdom and modern scientific knowledge. And the method is by imparting life-building, character-making education. I will have to briefly explain this. What is the uniqueness of Ramakrishna Mission and why a spiritual organization like Ramakrishna Mission should enter the field of education? Swamiji had a educational philosophy. And since we believe in that, we try to actualize that educational philosophy. But we have to first understand what is that educational philosophy. There are three components to Swamiji's educational philosophy. First is what, second is why, and third is how of that. What is the meaning of the education? Why is the purpose of the education? And how? See, because just by knowing the meaning and purpose, it is not sufficient. We have to have a method by which we can actualize the purpose of the education. So that is why this how comes into the picture. we all know that what is education according to Swamiji is the education is the manifestation of perfection already in man. So it's our pursuit is not just the excellence, it is actually the perfection. Because we believe that man is inherently great, inherently he is perfect. And that is why the purpose also is the pursuit of that perfection. Naturally, the method, because the purpose is Atmano Mokshartham Jagaditaya Cha. Now, Jagaditaya Cha is because we also believe in the unity of existence. So, we believe in the inherent perfection and also the unity of existence. That is why we have Atmano Mokshartham Jagaditaya Cha. This ties up well with how the Ramakrishna Mission has to involve in the education. So, because we believe that this is a method by which we can achieve Atmano Mokshartham Jagaditaya Cha. The method that now we come to the mission. The mission of our institution is pursuit of excellence naturally, blending of Eastern and Western values, and social responsibility. Social responsibility comes from Jagaditaya Cha, of Swamiji's idea. And the blending of Eastern and Western values is also the method, because we are taking help of whatever we have learned in the past, whatever we have learned in the past are the past traditions, and that we are passing to the future generation. That is what education is about. Learning from our past traditions and passing it to the future generation. And these past traditions consist both of Eastern and Western values. So, I conclude that our vision is to be a great center of learning, blending the Eastern and Western values. And our method is life building, man making, to produce students, to produce enlightened citizens who have character, who have character and spirituality and perfection. Thank you. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Now, I introduce Dr. Rupak Goswami. He is a professor at the IRDM Faculty Center of RKMVERI since 2007. He specializes in agricultural extension and rural development and is actively engaged in teaching, research and extension at our Narendrapur Faculty Center. Rupak has been a Fulbright visiting fellow at the University of California, Davis, and is currently engaged in designing sustainable smallholder agricultural systems in West Bengal. We will listen to his presentation shortly.
The center is located at Narendrapur, Kolkata, and in today's webinar, I'll be presenting 3 of our best practices. While selecting these best practices, we had several criteria in our mind. The first, that this best practices has been in existence at our center for quite some time. Second, that it has shown promises of a desired outcome. And number 3, that these best practices are having overarching impact on more than one aspects of our teaching, learning, research, and extension. The first of these best practices is a rural immersion program called Rural Living and Learning Experience. The fundamental idea behind RLAE is to provide an alternative, liberating pedagogical approach to the students, so that students can learn themselves in the field. Please note, RLLE is not a field practical, That means this is not the application of knowledge that you learn in the classroom situation. Rather, this is learning in the field itself. As a matter of fact, this makes the classroom teaching more meaningful because you definitely have some opportunity to apply your knowledge in the field to solve the problem of the villagers. More importantly, it frees the students from the incomplete textbooks, which is mostly full of textual and verbose contents, often divorced from the contextual realities of rural India. And at the same time, students gain confidence when they learn through problem solving in the real life conditions. Apart from that, RLAD inculcates the value of service to the society in mainstream education. The students gain the confidence and belief that they can impact the society as a student and build a lasting relationship between the university and the community. When the program was launched, it was contemplated that most of the existing textbooks are mostly a kind of accumulation of facts, theories, and practices, and mostly written in and different cultural contexts, which is often different from our Indian conditions. We also noted that the aspiring professionals who want to go to the field in the rural development, they lack ruefully the ability to transform the community, especially the ability to self-mobilize the community. Also, RLLE provides an unique scope of learning where the students transcends the scope of learning from the self to the community. That means they can only learn when they serve others or bring in positive changes in others. Simply, the practice is compulsory village immersion of students in remote rural areas, mostly in West Bengal and neighboring states, for nearly 2 weeks. And this happens twice during the MSc program. There are 2 distinct segments in the RLLE program. The first segment is called the community study segment, where the students come to know about the community, learn from them, and in the second section, based on their knowledge about the community, they develop a workable community action plan that can be acted upon in the field itself. They are continuously supported by the faculty members and the host NGOs where they are placed. And at the end of the program, they come up with a technical report, which is submitted to the faculty center, and often with an action plan, which is submitted to the grassroots organizations, which they can use for writing projects. Our experience of the last 12 years has shown 2 important constraints while implementing this program. The first one is the difficulty in real-time monitoring of the students who are placed at 6 to 8 different locations at a single point of time. And second, the logistic support in terms of mobility and some material inputs which is required to bring in changes in the rural community. Now, what do the students do in the field? Just to give you an idea, here are some pictures. Students are engaged with the villagers. They are performing participatory rural appraisals. Based on such appraisals, they take up certain actions. Here the students are preparing biopesticides as a part of the farmers training program. They work with the children. Here they are inculcating the value of education as a right, supervising the elementary education, training the farmers and farm women on mushroom cultivation, experiencing the rural life. And this is what happens when they stay in the villages. The whole community comes out. Let's see a video prepared by our students as a part of their field practical. It's not very professionally made though. This is the northern part of the West Bengal. You can see from the hilly terrain. The students is interacting with a villager The students are engaged with the community members by using participatory rural appraisal, where they will identify the problem and get them prioritized by the villagers, based on which they will take up certain actions that will be performed in the village itself. This is one such exercise. You'll see that in different places in a common area of a village, the whole community has come out to work with our students. The students are rendering some basic services to the villagers. Students are demonstrating integrated and multi-tier farming system, which is often very relevant in that part of the state. Teaching children in primary school, training mushroom cultivation. And now the students are working with the children of elementary school to raise awareness about the importance of education. They're going through the village so that all the villagers can see what is happening and what their children are doing with these university students. And one of our students is generating awareness about the balanced diet and vaccination. It's always emotional when they come back from the village. Now, some evidence of success. The last 12 years, 300 plus unit students, they have completed RLLE program, reaching 100 plus communities. And in a conservative estimation, more than 10,000 villagers. We have teamed up with more than 20 non-government organizations. One important thing is that we collaborated with the National Innovation Foundation, who is engaged in the scouting and documentation of indigenous technical knowledge in different parts of India, and our students have identified more than 300 indigenous technical knowledge during their RLLE. Our students have reached some of the communities that they visited during the COVID-19 lockdown and Amphan cyclone, and they have sent considerable amount of help in 5 different communities during the crisis. Here are some problems that we have researched and experienced during the implementation of RLLE program, time being the central one, also the formalization of institutional linkage, accompaniment of mentor, proper orientation, and close and real-time monitoring were some of the important problems encountered. To implement this exercise, we suggest that a curriculum be in place that builds students' understanding of rural realities. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to handle the real-life situation in rural areas. And development of a document, something like a manual for guiding the students before, during, and after the RLLE. Institutional linkage with the host organizations, maybe NGO or the community-based organizations, should be made prior to sending the students in the village. And a dedicated team of experts need to be ready to answer the students' queries and mentor them during the RLLE. Apart from this, small inputs for demonstrations and creation of information, education, and communication materials should be available. Here is a visionary scheme that we have prepared so that RLLE program can be transformed into a community outreach initiative at any educational institute. So based on the crisis or the constraints, we propose the importance of formal institutional linkage and small funding and logistic support made available to the students. And at the same time, conduct evidence-based research, preferably by the graduate students of the same university, to measure the impact of the program on the student as well as on the community. Let's move to the second best practice of our faculty center, that is organic farming. This organic farming center has been established at our faculty center by the support of Indian Council of Agricultural Research. This is one of the most important centers of our faculty center. The novelty about this initiative is that it is devoted to fundamental biomolecular research on the one hand and provides extension services to the farming community. So it's the whole spectrum which is covered by the Organic Farming Center, starting from fundamental research to its application and impact on the farming community. The goal of the center is to provide fundamental research outcomes on ancient soil health management practices of our country, which is commonly known as Panchagavya, Sasyagavya, Unapajala, Amrit Pani, Bijamrit. So long, the research in organic farming has concentrated on validating the efficacy and effectiveness of these inputs, where our center is asking a more fundamental question to solve the problem why these formulations are more effective than the conventionally used, externally driven inputs of agriculture. The second one, this center provides training to the small and marginal farmer on the practices of organic farming, which has been standardized by the research. Apart from that, to produce the organic material that is used in the field, a novel recycling system has been established at the center that converts the waste of our campus into valuable organic manure. This simple diagram captures the essence of the practice. On the one hand, the center is conducting fundamental research, as already said, and providing hands-on practical to the students in the science and practice of organic farming. So this is immensely benefiting the research and teaching of the faculty center. And second, they are recycling the waste of the campus into valuable organic input, which is used in the research. And the end product of the research, that is the fundamental research that is applied in the field research, and the outcome of the field research is disseminated among the farmers in the form of standard recommendations. Apart from that, they are also trained in the practice of organic farming. And the fresh vegetable which is produced in the field are also made accessible to the campus community. The center has shown tremendous potential and already achieved certain landmarks. The knowledge produced in the center has been documented in the form of a course which is offered from the faculty center. Second, the students who have trained in this center have joined higher studies in organic farming itself in Indian Statistical Institute, and the fundamental research on organic farming that is conducted and documented from this center has been highly accepted and championed by the Indian Council of Agricultural Research. Training program for small and marginal farmer has been another sign of potential success, which is yet to be measured precisely. But the scientists and scholars who are working with this project are continuously training the farmers in different districts of West Bengal. And the fresh vegetable, as have already said, are made accessible to the campus community, making the whole project an embodiment of operationalizing complex system. Now, if some organizations or institutions want to accept this idea and implement in their campus, here are some recommendations The first one, that organic farming site is to be developed beforehand by providing high quality organic inputs to build up the soil fertility in the first instance. Second, as a logical extension of the previous recommendation, a compost and biofertilizer production unit should be present in the campus so that the huge demand of organic input can be met from the center itself. And the third one is a decent laboratory which will be required to assess the quality of the organic. The third best practice of our faculty center is a sustainable plant tissue culture unit that supports teaching, research, and extension program. The unit was established with the support from the National Horticulture Mission. And when it was established, the primary agenda was to provide low-cost and high-quality planting materials to the small and marginal farmers of the state. Apart from that, we aim to provide hands-on training to the students of our faculty center on plant tissue culture. Apart from training, the unit also aim to develop scientific knowledge in the form of standardizing the media for growing plant of different species, and also to produce skilled manpower who are important to maintain the day-to-day operation of the unit. Let's see the operation of this unit. The first step of tissue culture is preparation of growth media for in vitro multiplication and plant regeneration. The growth media contains macronutrients, vitamins, and hormones. Different compositions of growth media are used for shoot and root development. Once the media is prepared, the growth media needs to be autoclaved, that is, heat treatment with high atmospheric pressure before the plant tissue culture. It prevents the growth of undesirable microbes and stops the contamination. Here the plant genomic extraction procedure is being shown. This is a widely accepted approach to determine the genetic purity of the micropropagated plant. First, the plant leaves are crushed with liquid nitrogen, which is followed by nucleic acid purification by the refrigerated centrifuge. The genome DNA, thus isolated, is used to amplify by a specialized PCR machine. The tissue are placed in the media and kept inside the laboratory controlled environment before they are taken out for hardening. So in the last step, you see that the in vitro generated plantlets are taken outside the laboratory environment and are hardened under the natural condition. The step is essential for the plantlets to acclimatize the environment and grow into a mature plant. So as we have already said, apart from this mass production, practical hands-on training are provided to the students of 2 academic programs, and 2 to 3 students complete their dissertation work from this laboratory every year. And the produced plants are sold and distributed to the farming community through different extension agencies, panchayats, and individual entrepreneurs. Here are some evidence of success. More than 70 students are trained from this lab. 12 dissertation works completed. 2 projects are being hosted. 9 protocols are standardized. It has generated more than 8 lakhs in the last 2.5 years and distributed more than 80,000 plants to the farming community, apart from employing 9 human resources. Some of the important problems encountered while running this unit is the difficulty in maintaining the production throughout the year because it needs continuous demand of plants at the ground. And to support the occasional fund crunch asks for the inflow of project and stable linkage with the clients who will purchase the plant. Retaining and supporting trained human resources are another challenge. The infrastructure that will be needed to run such a center or unit is a state-of-the-art laboratory along with greenhouse and shade net, trained manpower for day-to-day operations, formal and informal tie-up with the clients, and sometimes externally supported project to handle the fund crunch. We also propose that viable startup with the passed out students may be taken up, or paid consultancy or training program may be taken up by the unit to enhance the financial sustainability of the unit. Namaskar. Our center is located at Narendrapur, Kolkata, and in today's webinar, I'll be presenting 3 of our best practices. While selecting these best
That was Rupa Goswami from Narendrapur Center. Now we are ready to listen to Dr. Muthaiya. Presently, he is serving as a Dean of the Faculty of Disability Management and Special Education. He served in Ramakrishna Mission Vidyaya College of Education, Coimbatore, for 34 years, out of which 15 years as principal. He served as VT member of NCTE for several years. He has also been associated with NAAC as member coordinator of peer team since 2004. He serves at present as the member of governing body of Rehabilitation Council of India. His area of specializations are teacher education, special education, and mathematics education. Let's listen to his speech in a little while.
Welcome to Coimbatore campus of Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda Educational Research Institute. We are going to present the best practices carried out in various faculties of RKMVERI Coimbatore campus. The first one, the capacity building by parents in reducing maladaptive behaviors of children with intellectual disability. In this best practice, we are able to give training for parents in order to reduce maladaptive behaviors of children with intellectual disability. As we all know, maladaptive behaviors act as serious barriers to their personal development and to opportunities for social integration. Hence, parental training helps children with intellectually disabled to reduce maladaptive behaviors and enable them to cope up with the challenges in various situations. Major objectives of this practice: to equip parents with a number of ideas on how to support their educational achievement at home and school, to make parents understand the need for active involvement of students in training for reducing maladaptive behaviors and its importance to them and their child. Few other objectives are enlisted here. In the context in which this particular practice is carried out is also explained. This best practice is based on the common maladaptive behaviors of children with intellectually challenged. There can be enlisted as children with severe problem behaviors, mild problem behaviors, just having some problem behaviors, no problem behavior but difficulty staying on a task. So the parents are trained to identify such maladaptive behavior and record them, and they will also be given training to give them intervention programs. And these management techniques of intervention programs will also be well explained with examples. Evidence of success: this capacity building training is designed to help parents to establish better relationship with teachers and with their own child. And they are also trained to know about school-based management techniques and shared decision-making process. To understand about this particular best practice in detail, let us view a small video clipping. We are able to see the parents involved in developing readiness skills and assessment techniques. Followed by various intervention strategies applied by parents, and the children are actively involved in the activities like fine motor activity, parents and our trainees are involved in evaluation and feedback. Next practice: developing functional skills for persons with disabilities through synchronized physical and rhythmic activities coupled with multisensory therapies. The main of this unified modes of training is to bring together children with and without disabilities of similar age and ability to participate as a team on an equal playing field. Students with disabilities develop their functional motor skills through various physical and rhythmic activities, exhibit the learned functional skills in a common event organized in an integrated setting. The major objective of this practice is to empower students with disabilities to achieve their potential growth in all development areas: cognitive, physical, social, and emotional. In addition to that, enabling disabled students and the parents to understand the supportive role played by the integrated approach using various therapies for reinforcing functional skills. For this particular best practice, we bring more than 500 students from about 20-25 schools in and around Coimbatore district, those who are studying in inclusive setting and special schools, and give them a training by our students for about 4 weeks during their internship, and developing various functional skills using physical activities by our trainees through one-to-one instruction, small group instruction, large group instruction, mixed group instruction, and peer tutoring. After 20 days training, all of them are brought to a common place to perform their functional skill through various synchronized tasks in consonant with rhythmic cues. This training promotes all necessary skills for the both disabled and non-disabled. Now we are going to witness a small video clipping of this best practice. The disabled children along with the non-disabled, over 500 in strength, are brought to this auditorium to perform their functional skills. Yogasanas. Various synchronized physical and rhythmic activities. They are involved in column therapy. Look at the joint effort of these children. The unique feature is that these children are performing in an inclusive setting. Motor skill development, physiotherapy assessment, followed by various therapies such as music therapy, movement therapy, art therapy, aqua therapy. All these therapy techniques are shown in various stations as models for the benefit of parents and caretakers of the disabled. Next best practice, pre-vocational training for developing effective transition skills for persons with disabilities. As we all know, transition skills are very imperative for persons with disabilities. When the child is prepared to undergo academic programs, we are encouraging them after academic program. Disabled children must be trained on some vocational skills. After schooling, they should be given necessary skills of transition. If transition skills are not developed in disabled children, their future will be a question mark. This best practice is related to provide such pre-vocational training for developing transition skills of the children with intellectually disabled. The major objectives are to make the teacher trainees know and understand the principles of intervention for delivering effective transition services, to provide them hands-on experience for the trainees imparting vocational skills for the disabled children. The framework of the practice is that we have to transact these skills in natural environment, at natural timings, using real materials, using the participation of every disabled child, and several sequential tasks are exposed to these children for developing transition skills are mandatory. What are the specific skills necessary for such transition? Number 1, job search skills. 2, job maintenance skills. 3. Mobility and transportation skills. If we are able to give these skills, make them acquire to the maximum level of their attainment, their transition will be very smooth. They will be able to manage their future with some kind of vocational opportunities. To understand more about this particular best practice, we are going to witness a small video clipping. Intellectually challenged children are involved in preparing palm leaf bookmark using functional maths. Developing motor skills using eco-friendly clay. Training is given to intellectually challenged children and their parents on social skills by making them understand about democratic process of voting in elections. Next, developing basic daily living skills and strengthening them, cooking, tailoring, training in agriculture, jewelry making, activities like Indian folk art creation, next best practice, training on selective adapted games for developing motor skills for persons with disabilities. This best practice is carried over for the purpose of giving training for the disabled, making them to be competent enough to participate in various games and sports which are played by the non-disabled individuals. In order to make them competent enough to play common games, they will be given special training with use of adapted games wherein necessary adaptations in the form of rules and regulations and other conditions will be done without losing the spirit behind the game. Almost similar structure will be maintained with some adaptations. They will also be able to compete with others by playing these games. So major objectives of this practice is to provide more opportunity for the competent disabled to actively participate in sports, to adequately provide appropriate training in adapted games suitable to the players of the disabled, to be competent enough to perform in various competitions. As I mentioned earlier, the context will be the similar of non-disabled individuals, but with some adaptations. The practice is carried over by the following stages. Number one, identify the individuals who are disabled and having talents for particular game or sports. Number two, select appropriate adapted games suitable to this disabled individual. Number three, adopt rules and regulations of the playing the game with special reference to the nature and the degree of the disabled. Number four, provide proper training by taking necessary precautionary measures and also sustaining the similar spirit of sports. This particular practice is very beneficial to these disabled individuals in the following ways: to have increased muscular strength and endurance, to improve the quality of life and their well-being, to enhance functional capacity and ability to complete activities of daily living, to develop more social skills and be totally independent in their life. To have an idea about this particular best practice, going to witness a small video clipping. Adapted games for the disabled. We are witnessing adapted cricket for paraplegic athletes. Those who have lower extremities impairment are given this training in this adapted cricket game. Volleyball for the visually impaired. Making small adaptations in the rules and regulations without affecting the spirit of the game. All these adapted games are selected and the training is provided by the experts of our faculty. Boshi for children with intellectual disability. Sitting volleyball for paraplegic athletes.
Thank you, Dr. Muthaiya, for your enlightened presentation. We move on to the next presentation from our Ranchi Center by Dr. Deepankar Chatterjee, who holds a PhD in anthropology from the University of Calcutta. He is serving in the RKMVERI since 2007. Formerly, he was a senior research fellow, Anthropological Survey of India, Government of India. Presently, he is serving in the capacity of head of the division of Rural and Tribal Development, Ranchi campus. His area of research interests include ethnoscience, subjective well-being, and tribal livelihood. He has published 2 books, authored more than 15 book chapters, and published about 30 articles in the index journals. In a short while, we will watch his presentation.
A very good day to one and all. Thanks to my earlier speakers who has nicely documented the activities being carried out in their own campuses. Now, I am going to showcase the activities being carried out the Ranchi campus of the university, which was established with the vision of Swami Vivekananda. In 1898, he wrote that in central India, near Hazaribagh and such other districts, plenty of well-watered, healthy land may even now, that was written in 1898, be easily available. In that region, a big plot of land may be acquired, and that can be transformed into technical school and gradually into factories. And subsequently, a new means of food production may be developed, and due to that, people will begin to settle down in that colony, and subsequently we can mold them in any shape you like. If we interpret that statement, we will find that statement itself is the basic foundation behind the establishment of the Ranchi campus of this university. He stated that the holistic development is necessary to bring changes in the life of the people living in the rural and tribal areas of this country. So we need a balanced development of 5 essential capital like natural capital, physical capital, financial capital, social capital, and finally the development of human resources, that is the human capital. Now, that faculty center was established in 2006 following the vision of Swami Vivekananda, and the main purpose of this faculty center is to develop the rural and tribal communities through equitable distribution of benefit in eco-friendly way, and to sustain that program in such a way so that it can have some long-lasting effect on that communities. That's why the faculty center adopted 4-pronged strategy. Normally, higher education institution mainly focuses on the teaching and research, but here we are following the 4 methods: teaching, research, and combined it with training as well as the extension, because the tribal people requires some kind of life-oriented training. That's why they require the training, as well as we need some kind of techniques that are being developed in the research faculties need to be transmitted to the people living in the rural areas. So, apart from different kind of practices, we have identified 3 best practices that are relevant for these faculty center, because the best practices are those practices that should be locally relevant as well as globally acceptable. Following that principle, we have identified 3 important practices that we considered is the best practices for our campus. Number 1, Initiative 1, that is EYES, abbreviated as EYES, empowering youth through education and skill. It includes 2 themes, because here we combine both formal as well as non-formal method of education. Theme A includes the formal method of education, through which we are empowering the first generation tribal youth through formal education, and the theme B include the incubation center, that is the non-formal hand-holding support to the tribal counterparts so that they can start their own enterprise. The second initiative is the context, like the COVID crisis provided us the opportunity to think and utilize this time and to initiate certain kind of new experimentation in the area of higher education. So we have given the name TREAT, Teaching, Research and Extension through Alternate Techniques. Lot of universities and institutions is doing and shifted to online mode of education. Similarly, we are also following the same mode with an objective that no one should be left out of these facilities. Like, since we are serving mainly the rural and tribal population, rural and tribal students, so our challenge is much more to give them the benefit of the higher education through online, and they should not be digitally divided. They should not feel that they are the victim of digital lackness. So we have initiated the program treat. And the third one is the diversifying educational opportunities for tribal aspirants. That is the new kind of activities we are going to start in near future. So one by one, I will explain the practices that we are carried out in this center. Initiative 1, the main objective of this program is to bring the tribal student to the mainstream of education. And that can be possible not only by the formal education, but they should be non-formally trained. That's why we are combining the education system with formal method as well as the non-formal method. Why? The formal method is that we have started and continuing the course 5-year integrated BSc plus MSc course in agriculture, rural and tribal development, which is a unique one. Nowhere in this country offering such kind of courses, because this course is combined with the real life situation of the tribal people, what they are experiencing in their villages. So we have modulated that curriculum into the organized way and make it a formal mode of education. After completing the 5 years of education, they already been placed in different developmental organization and working as development professional, as well as some of them serving their own villages by returning to their own native places and started farming activities in a more improved way. And some of them became entrepreneurs. They became job givers rather than the job seekers. So that can be possible through the continuous corporate academia interaction by organizing different lectures, seminars, inviting different corporate people from different organizations, different grassroots level workers, so that through this kind of interaction, the tribal first generation learner get motivated and develop themselves for the higher educations. We have certain success stories. I am just blurred the photograph of this fellow because no one would be able to identify himself as a cow herder nowadays after being achieved and posted as a development professional. The name Sumra Bedia was from a Bedia tribal community. Actually, he used to herd cows and earn certain kind of some paltry amount of money to support his family. Later, he came to know about this center and joined our university, and almost with no cost, he completed his 5-year integrated MSc course, and now he is working as an agricultural officer in a reputed non-government organization and earning around 30,000 per month, which was a dream for him. The second case is of a case of a lady, a girl who hailed from the backward area of Latehar district of Jharkhand, who also came into the fold of the Ramakrishna Mission Asrama University campus of Ranchi and completed 5-year integrated MSc, and now she is working with the Department of Watershed Development, Government of Jharkhand. These are the two important success stories. There are many, but I have highlighted only two. So similar kind of case success story is found in this campus. Now the theme B is related with the non-formal training. First is we have started in last year a full-time residential agribusiness incubation center to provide a handholding support to the rural and tribal youth so that they can be trained here and they can start a new venture after getting the handholding training, handholding support. And the basic thing or the best practice is that we are providing around 30,000 as a fellowship amount at the end of completing that program, that is after 6 months, as a seed money, so that they can use this amount as a seed money to start their new enterprise. And in last year, 12 such candidates incubated in this campus, and they have already started successfully establishing different enterprises in the area of nursery, poultry, goatry, etc. These are the different field activities through which they get the handholding support. They do it in their own field and complete their learning by doing. even it is evidenced by this small video, that is the well landscaped garden in the university campus, which was totally maintained by the students and they designed it and make this campus more beautiful. Now the second initiative, that is the teaching, research and extension through alternate techniques. The main objective is that the situation we entered into due to the COVID-19 crisis is to total standstill of the educational activities. So to ensure the continuous engagement of every students and faculty in the teaching learning process, we have started that treat because we have to adjust with the situation, and side by side we have to continue with the teaching, research and extension, and we have to adapt with the new system. And that's why you need to innovate different kind of techniques so that no one should be left out of that new kind of digital initiative. So we have started experimentation and explored different methods so that the remote learning can continue our higher educational system. Under that, we have started to bridging the physical distance by using different platforms to interact with the students, to take classes, as well as we have also depend on the recorded lectures, those who are unable to get the better network so that they cannot be connected with the online system. So we have sent the recorded lectures, recorded voice, recorded videos to them so that in offline mode they can also access the lectures and can continue their studies. Another important thing is that the research through the native researcher model. That was another innovation that we have initiated during this lockdown period, because most of the social science research requires the personal interaction with the respondents. But due to the lack of transportation and lockdown, we are unable to contact with the respondents who are actually the native of the different villages. So we have adapted this native researcher model because most of our students hail from the village areas, and our research areas also comprise of different kind of students who are living in that areas. So we are dependent on those students who are residing in our study areas. So we have suggested them and provided them the guideline. They have collected information, they have interpreted information and sent it back to us. After getting the interpreted result from our students who are actually the respondent as well as the researcher, so we get a dual kind of information that help us to interpret the result in a better way. That was even very much successful to complete some of the research projects that are ongoing, and we are supposed to submit it within a few months. Another problem was that during the lockdown is that the farmers, we are serving the farmers residing in the villages. So we have to find out the way so that we can provide them and equip them with the scientific information. And for that, we have developed indigenously. Indigenously means we did not take any help from any outside agencies. It is being developed by our ICT experts as well as the faculty member contributed different materials. That's why I am saying it is indigenous in nature, a one-stop consultation for the farmers and the rural entrepreneurs through mobile app, which is named Vivek Jaivik Krishi, that is now available in the Google Play Store. And also we have started the multi-mode evaluation and assessment of students, both online and offline. That's why the balance between the online and offline mode as well as the assessment of the students through this mode enable us to complete the final semester examination on time. The third one is we are proposing, or we are about to start this kind of initiative that we have planned already, that is diversifying educational opportunities for tribal aspirants. The major problem faced by the tribal students is the dropout. High rate of dropout is observed among the tribal students. So to reduce the challenge, to reduce the problem, we are planning to start, and we have already sent a proposal to the UGC, that we are going to start the Bachelor of Vocational Program in Sustainable Agriculture. The main principle is that to allow the student for multiple entry and multiple exit. That means after completing 6 months or 1 year of the program, they may get certificate or the diploma, or they may left out the courses, and after a few years they can join directly in the second year so that they can continue their graduation in that way. So that is the another innovative way that is also supported by the new education policy that we have already started to start this multiple entry and exit option through Bachelor of Vocational Program in Sustainable Agriculture. And the second is another challenge we are facing during our rural living as well as the village visits, since our main stakeholders are the rural people, that the rural areas suffers from the lack of professionally skilled manpower. Though a lot of people are working in the rural areas, even some of the government functionaries are working very well, they are highly experienced, but they lack the organized knowledge required to scientifically intervene in the different developmental projects. So to address this issue, we are going to start a program on PG Diploma in Rural Development Practice, so that we can train the Panchayat Pradhan, village level workers, or the different grassroots level workers who are actually the normal graduate but lack the skill of the rural development activities, the scientific skill required to implement different developmental projects. That it will be provided in a capsulated form to them so that they can complete their study and can better support their own areas, and that program will be offered in a distance mode. So these are the different activities we have experimented here in the Ranchi campus, and we are trying to develop this campus with the vision of the Swami Vivekananda that he has told in the earlier vision, that the development should be holistic in nature, and holistic development is possible by combining the natural resources, physical resources, financial resources, social resources, and finally the human resources. So these are the different pictures through which we can see the lab-based practical is going on, and in fact the documentation of this lab-based practical help us in this situation to send it to the different students, so that who are deprived of this opportunity to get hands-on training in this period, so that at least they can get some kind of idea about the laboratory-based practice, as well as similarly the farm-based activities that I have explained earlier, that the entire garden landscaped and used and maintained by the students. So that is another example of the best practice, that through learning by doing, they are not only learning the different skills but also supporting the institution, returning back to the institution, so that institution will look beautiful. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dipankar Chatterjee. Now we will move on to the next presentation from the Belur campus. We have 4 speakers in a row. I'll introduce all of them one after another and play their presentation. The first presentation now will be from Brahmachari Aditya. He is the monastic faculty in the Department of Physics in RKMVERI. Before joining the Ramakrishna Mutt and Ramakrishna Mission, he had completed his BTech at IIT Madras in engineering physics. He holds a PhD at University of Texas at Austin in physics, and the postdoctoral fellowship at Asia Pacific Center for Theoretical Physics, Pohang, South Korea. His area of research is early universe cosmology. Theoretical. Following this presentation, we will get a presentation from Swami Vedarthananda. He is a monk of the Ramakrishna order, and he serves in the Department of Sanskrit and Philosophy. He is an assistant professor in Advaita Vedanta, the field in which he holds a PhD degree. Following that, there will be a presentation from the Computer Science Department representative, namely myself, Swami Dhyanagamyananda. At the last presentation by Swami Kirti Pradhananda, is a monk of the Ramakrishna order. She is serving in the RKMVERI as a registrar. Let's see all this presentation in total.
We shall now discuss the best practices followed by the Department of Physics of RKMVERI in the Belur campus. So there are two best practices that we are mentioning here. One is the Design and Fabrication Laboratory and the other is the Positional Astronomy Center. So the Design and Fabrication Laboratory is basically intended to give our students a chance to work on open-ended experiments. So this kind of an approach is not emphasized in the conventional theory classes or in lab classrooms. So the objective is to give the students a chance to identify some socially relevant problem and find a way to solve the problem in a cost-effective manner. And they gain the technical skill of using microprocessors and sensors together. The long-term objective is really to create this impetus, create this tendency in the students to apply their knowledge and their skills to address social problems. So the methodology of the lab is as follows. We first give the students some time to gain familiarity with microprocessors based on Arduino, and we give them a chance to work and play around with some of the sensors and other things which are usually used as accessories to this microprocessor. Then after that, after they're familiar, we give them the chance to come up with a project. We make them decide an interesting project and come up with a way to plan it, to implement it, and give us a list of components that they require for implementing, and then we purchase the components, give it to them. And then they themselves would build the mechanical structures and whatever is necessary to make the project work. And ultimately, they have to demonstrate the success of their project. So in this entire process, the skills that they gain is to, of course, to learn to use a microprocessor, the integration of hardware and software and so on. And they also learn to come up with a way of fabricating projects with real life applications. And the key thing is that this is an integral part of our curriculum. So every student has to participate, every student is evaluated on this. This is one course that is integrally present. So these are some of the topics that during the 2019 July to December semester, these are some of the topics that the students worked on. You can see the radar and firefighting robot and so on are things that have some connection to real life. So this is the fabrication laboratory. So next is the Positional Astronomy Center. Here the basic idea is to promote observational astronomy in and around the campus, the RKMVERI Belur campus. So we will conduct observations through using telescopes of various sizes. And the idea is to bring together our science people with the humanities students and our students with the public and the staff and others. And in a sense to bring theory and observation together. So for our physics students, it is of course a chance to work on the telescopes, to handle them, get some hands-on experience, and also get a sense of the technicalities of observation of astronomy. But they also, in addition, get a chance to discuss science, popularize science among the general public, among the non-science people. For the non-science people, for the humanities students and for the public, this should give a sense of the charm of observational astronomy. They get a sense of how the scientific method of observation and conclusions work. And they get a vision that even the most familiar thing, like the night sky, has unseen depths that can be explored. So to implement, we have 4 telescopes currently, a Celestron 14-inch, 11-inch, 6-inch and 4-inch telescopes, and several filters and photometers and so on. So we would conduct observational astronomy workshops conducted by experts, outside experts, and we may also have telescope setup sessions for student volunteers. We have done both of these, and we intend to conduct regular viewing sessions in campus and hopefully outside campus also. This we have not done yet, but we have this idea of implementing. The challenges, of course, is the Kolkata sky, which is not in our control, and there is pollution and so on, but that we have to work with. So one notable event this year, we had a observational astronomy workshop before the lockdown happened. We had a amateur astronomer from Bangalore, a well-known person by the name Amar Sharma, and our students volunteered and set up the telescope and did a lot of work. And we had theory and observation sessions, and over 100 people participated, including Sanskrit and yoga people, students, and monks of the Ramakrishna Mission, staff members, etc., etc. So it was a big success, and these are some of the photographs. So this is all I have from the Department of Physics. So if there are questions, we'll be happy to answer. Thank you.
Sir, it is not audible.
Yeah, I'll play another one. Sorry about this distraction. And I should be getting it shortly. Oh, the pen drive.
अहं मानसोल्लासिनी परिषदि अंशग्रहणं कृत्वा षण्मासाभ्यन्तरे संस्कृतसम्भाषणे सामर्थ्यम् अर्जितवान्. This is how a first-year BA student of Sanskrit narrated his experience with Manasollasini Parishad in simple, chaste Sanskrit. He could acquire the skill of conversing in Sanskrit fluently within 6 months of joining his study program in our institute, thanks to Manasollasini, among other initiatives of the department. This is the best practice of the Department of Sanskrit and Philosophy we present here, the Manasollasini Parishad. It literally means an assembly or a forum that entertains and encourages the mind. The main objectives of the Manasollasini are both subject-centered and student-centered. In the Manasollasini, we encourage the students to feel comfortable in Sanskrit and thus enliven the Sanskrit language and its knowledge traditions. The context that necessitated setting up a forum of this kind is a basic flaw that we encounter in the usual method of teaching Sanskrit in the university level. In the prevalent method of Sanskrit teaching, this language is treated as a stagnant tradition of the past. But that is not okay for those who want Sanskrit language, tradition, etc. to live on and flourish for many reasons. Therefore, correcting this flaw meant providing frequent opportunities to the Sanskrit learners to use and practice and be creative in Sanskrit language outside the classroom but within the campus. Manasollasini serves this purpose. This best practice of the department is basically a students' forum managed and organized by the senior students with the guidance of the faculty. the Manasollasini Parishad is structured as Ganas and Gananayakas, Sanchalakas and Parishad Sadasyas, Nirnayakas and Upadeshtas, all the prominent positions being occupied by the students. The year-long activities of the Manasollasini Parishad are predetermined. Every week-long preparation culminates in a session convened by the Parishad, which is called Saptahika Samaroha. This is the view of a Saptahika Samaroha. These are some of the photos of the prize distribution, which is done at the end of the academic year. Coming to the activities of the Manasollasini Parishad, they are designed to meet all the objectives of the Parishad. Every activity of the Manasollasini Parishad has one thing specially in focus, that is, the activity should help the students in developing cognitive and creative skills in Sanskrit language. Students can be seen enacting a Sanskrit drama they have written. In order to be creative in Sanskrit, students have opportunity to compose poetry and narrate them, recite them, and receive critical appreciation from their friends and acharyas. They can also speak on different topics and debate on them. Another kind of activity in the Manasollasini is performing traditional co-curricular practices such as Shalaka Pariksha, Vakyartha, Vada Katha, Antyakshari, Samasya Purti, etc. Here is a short description of these traditional practices as they are performed by the students in the Manasollasini Parishad. These are some of the photos of the Vakyartha Sabha and Vada Katha. Students even utilize the Samskrita Rupakas or Samskrita Natakam by revamping and performing them as an effective means of acquiring language skills and thus enhancing their academic excellence. Now, the evidence of success is evidently the confidence our students exhibit even in the first year of their study program in using this language with so much of ease. As the students' involvement in the Manasollasini Parishad became more focused, the quality of their performance in the national level competitions steadily increased and they won many prestigious awards. A forum like Manasollasini Parishad may be emulated by all the institutions where Sanskrit is taught. It contributes to academic excellence on the one hand, and it serves a higher purpose like national integration through the revival of the Sanskrit language.
That was Swami Vedarthananda from the Sanskrit department. Now you will see the presentation from Swami Dhyanagamyananda, Computer Science department. A little while, shortly. Namaskar. We are now at the penultimate presentation. So far you have heard and might have also appreciated how intense it is to adopt a humanistic approach in anything one does, which factor is more pronounced in education. I won't venture to talk about, being a representative of the computer science department, about the computer science education that we at the department are primarily engaged in, but about that work which always happens in the background, unseen, unheard, and unnoticed. When we come to science, all of us are concerned about the wheres that works. At the very inception of the university, the present Vice Chancellor Swami Sarvottamananda harped on this theme that we can have safe journey in the roadway through digital reliance only if we are self-reliant. I must say that this did not lead to the best practice, but it led to a gifted practice. However, to actualize, we need the right combination of a team equipped with machines and empowered with software. Techies know that between the machine and software, the true empowerment comes from the latter, and that too when we make the right choice, as every decision is going to have impact on investment. To put it humorously, when it comes to the right choice of software, go in the open, go with the open, and go for the open is the mantra that RKMVERI has effectively employed to translate self-reliance into action. We are reaping huge returns. On a marginal note, of course, the highlighted words in, with, and for, they do have some philosophical underpinnings. But besides, from science perspective, it is okay that we now have wares and we can make it work. This attitude, however, draws away the attention from being human-centric to matter-centric. Hence, right from the inception, the Department of Computer Science has rendered unrelenting support to the entire university community in everything that is covered under the name digital. Just to cite an instance of this support, the highly complex state-of-the-art intranet backbone of the university is fully powered by free and open software, installed and maintained by the in-house experts. With this comes reliability, with this comes security, and more importantly, with this comes adaptability. Shortly later, I shall touch upon this term adaptability. We at the Computer Science Department are proud that we were able to infuse this culture of embracing open source solutions even among the students of the Sanskrit department. They are trained over a period of 3 years in a plethora of open source tools on Linux operating system. The humanistic side of sciences has already started emerging when we started putting into practice the Swami Vivekananda's maxim of be and make. This is going to be the last slide, where I wish to drive home the factor of adaptability, which is an expression of self-reliance. When the nation faced with the lockdown starting from 15th March 2020, none of us knew that the situation was to become worse than what we speculated. Since 23rd March 2020, we began lectures online as if we were in regular mode. The university high-power computing resources were all made available for the remote access to the students. On the whole, we are satisfied that the delivery part was thus taken care in style, using a good combination of the choicest hardware and software. The most important outcome of aggressively going online was that we could win the confidence of our students. They, in fact, expressed that they were immensely compensated amidst so many uncertainties. In the golden triangle of pedagogy, design, deliver, and evaluate, after having satisfactorily accomplished the delivery part, let's take evaluation. Even now, it is not resolved with many institutions for whatever reasons it may be, whether final examinations should be held or not. Our experience with successfully conducting the online evaluation is that if the student is within the reach of digital connectivity, then we can venture ahead with evaluations instead of being passive about it. There are plethora of software tools and techniques that can ensure to a very good extent the credibility of such an evaluation. And more importantly, all these softwares that I am referring to are either open source softwares or freewares. The adaptability truly pays, in fact quite well, particularly when the times are trying such as this. Likewise, now is the time for online admissions. Given that social mobility is restricted, we have to rely on digital solutions And if we need this to work out economically, then we need self-reliance in the digital world, which the team at RKMVERI is striving to build on. I thank the organizers for giving us this opportunity to share our perspective with the rest of the world. Thank you. So we move on to the last presentation of this seminar from our side. Swami Kirti Pradhananda, who is a monk of the Ramakrishna order, he will present a unique best practice overall for our whole university.
The university has evolved several practices that emphasize inculcation of higher human values in tune with the main objective of the university, namely imparting of character building and life transforming education. This emphasis has become an integral part of the fundamental culture of this institution that strives and struggles to produce not merely knowledgeable and skillful scientists, literatures, etc., but enlightened human beings endowed with higher values like truthfulness, purity, and selflessness. The freshers' welcome is conducted through a unique ceremony wherein the new students are inducted in the institution through their taking 5 elevating vows that embody the exemplary human values coming from India's hoary eternal tradition. These vows, composed in simple Sanskrit, specially for this purpose, are meant to develop the students as integrated personalities, harmoniously blending the faculty of the 3 H's: heart, head, and hand. This unique ceremony, Elevate, ELEVATE, is a perfect and elevating antidote for the detestable culture ragging, unfortunately allowed to infiltrate and infest some of our educational institutions, but which is now getting away thanks to vigorous awareness campaign by the regulatory bodies and counseling by educationalists. The students are inducted into the culture of this institution through a unique ceremony of Vidyarthi Vrata, that is, taking vows of studenthood at the time of admission, which is reinforced and rejuvenated again through the Dikshant Pratigya, that is, the vows at the time of the convocation, so that the students may go out the portals of the university as enlightened and responsible citizens, powered by wisdom, goodness, and impeccable character energy as taught by Swami Vivekananda. The Vidyarthi Vrata is designed to solemnize students' vows for building healthy habits, physical as well as mental, by repeating certain vows called the Vidyarthi Homa Mantras. Now these are the 5 vows which the Vidyarthis, the students, take. The first vow deals with the vow for physical well-being through doing regular exercises, eating nutritious food, and following the rules of good health and hygiene. Shariram Adyam Kalu Dharma Sadhanam Itiniti Vakyam Avadharya Srama Kshama Niroga Shariraya Swasthyavidhi Palanaparo Bhavitamaham Yatha Sadhyam Yatishye. Body is the primary means of practicing dharma. In view of this dictum of wisdom, I shall try my best through observance of health rules to keep the body healthy and capable of hard labor. Ojosi ojomai dhehi, balamasi balammai dhehi, pushtirasi pustimmai dhehi, urjosi urjammai dhehi, peshayo me lohu sama bhavantu, snayayo me ayan siva bhavantu, hridayam me vajrasaram bhavatu. O Lord, make me vigorous, make me strong, make me enthusiastic, and make me energetic. Let my muscles be like iron and nerves like steel, my heart strong as the thunderbolt. The second vow is for regular and sincere study by following a systematic and persistent approach to studies. छात्राणाम् अध्ययनं तपः इति स्मृतिवाक्यम् अवधार्य प्रतिभा विकासार्थम् आचारनिरतः अध्ययनपरो भवितुमहं यथा साध्यं यतिष्ये. Students must undergo the austerity called study. In view of this advice of Smritis, I shall try my best to devote myself to studies in a disciplined manner in order to bring out my talent. The third vow is for practicing truthfulness in thoughts, words, and actions. Satyameva jayate nanritam, satyena pantha vitito devayanah. इति श्रुतिवाक्यम् अवधार्य कायेन मनसा वाचा सत्यपरायणो भवितुमहं यथा साध्यं यतिष्ये. Truth alone wins and not untruth. By truth is maintained forever the path called Devayana, the path of gods. Comprehending this Vedic dictum, I shall try my best to be truthful in mind, speech and body. Asatoma sadgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma mritam gamaya. O Lord, from untruth lead me to truth, from darkness lead me to light, from death lead me to immortality. The fourth vow is for being unselfish and compassionate in one's thoughts, words and actions. Swartho yasya parartha eva sapuman eka satam agranihi. इति मनीषी वाक्यम अवधार्य नीचता क्रूरता दाम्भिकता आदि मलिन स्वार्थ संतति विहाय उदारचेता विनयी श्रद्धावान देशभक्तो नरनारायण सेवानिष्ठो भवितुमहं यथा साध्यं यतिष्ये. One who considers others' interest as one's own is the great one among the good people. In view of this utterance of great men, I shall try to shelve all the impure tendencies born of my selfishness like mean-mindedness, cruelty, hypocrisy, etc., and try to inculcate in myself Catholicity, humility, respect for others, love for the country, and dedication to the service of man as God. Shruyatam dharma sarvasvam shrutva cha api avadharyatam atmanah pratikulaani paresham na samacharet matridevo bhava pitridevo bhava acharya devo bhava atithi devo bhava Yanyana karmani tani sevitavyani no itarani. Listen to the essence of religion. Try to comprehend. Don't apply anything to others that is harmful to you. Know your mother, your father, your teacher, your guest to be different forms of God. Perform those deeds which have never been condemned and don't perform the condemned ones. And the fifth and the last vow of this Vidyarthi Vrata mantram are vow to develop a sense of being dutiful and sensitive to the needs and challenges of the collective social good. Suparichalita sanghati shaktireva samaja kalyana nidanam atha ekya pratishtha mulakam samhati shakti jagranatmakam sangachatvam samvadadvam samvomanasim janatam iti shrutyadesham avadharya sadupaya para sannaham etat vidya pratishthan goshtir bhuktahi sarvahi ekya baddho bhavitum yatha sadhyam yatishye. Well managed and well directed power of unity is the only means to achieve the good of the society. Therefore, be thou all of one mind, be thou all of one thought, speak thou in one voice. Comprehending this Vedic dictum, which dictates the establishment of unity and evokes the power of integration, I shall resort to honest means and, being a member of this institution, try to get all of us united. So these are the 5 vows of Vidyarthi Vrata with which the students of our institution are introduced to at the time of admission. So I'll share with you some of the pictures of this ceremony.
So that's all the presentation from us.
Yes, so nice. That's a good one. I think so. It's a very good united efforts. There is a lot of stuff with you people probably to share with because of various campus which you people are having. What I felt and learned, I have made a points of the things related with the various initiatives taken by you and your campus are specific things are that organic farming center. It's really a need of the hour, rural living and learning experience, sustainable plant tissue culture. Then a good initiative, I think so very less campus have this initiative related to the faculty of disabled management special education. a good work. I received a 2-3 calls related with this. They said that they are doing a very good job related with the humanity, especially empowering youth through education skills. The innovative part I found is related with that treat and eyes. That is something abbreviations what was being narrated very nicely. And yes, of course, you yourself has elaborated that computer science always happens with a good codes. That was the interesting part. It was a necessary code which was being noted down, and at the end, that elevate Vidyarthi Vrat and concept of vows, which can be, I think, accepted and reproduced by many of the other stakeholders. Now, before moving, actually, we have to move ahead with the question and answer session. I do have 1 or 2 questions, but I will take it later. I request Mr. Samuel, please see if anybody has raised their hand for a questions.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, have a couple of questions. Shalini Singh, you are unmuted. You may ask your question. Shalini Singh. We go to the next one. Mohammad Wasim. Mohammad Wasim, do you have any question? Dr. Vijay Kumar Rane. Dr. Mohinder Kaur.
Yes, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Dr. Kamble, you have fulfilled my long-term desire. In 2004, I did certificate course in Vivekananda Studies, which was started by Punjab University, and I was the first student of that course. At that time, I had attended some classes by the branch at Chandigarh Ramakishan Mission. Since then, I was having my earnest desire to visit Ramakishan Mission main head office at Kolkata. But up till today, I couldn't do that. So today, the number one is my dream is fulfilled. Not only I have come to know the work about that head office, but they are having so many other centers about which people don't tell. Swami was telling rightly. They have matched themselves to the modernity since the times of the Swami Vivekananda. He is the leader. I will say in first leader of my country to represent the youth at the United States of America. But now I should not waste much time here. First of all, let me salute the total best practices being adopted, being disseminated by this organization. And then the very first best practice, that is rural living and learning experience. This best practice, I think, it should be adopted by every institution in our country, because we are moving away from agriculture. We are moving away from rural life. Most of the rural inhabitants, they have shifted to the urban areas. So this, when we indulge our students in rural living and learning experience, this will give them insight that how this agriculture is going on, and more and more students will be interested in agriculture. And I shall ask this one question now, how this can be implemented and how the other people can be made aware about this best practice. Actually, each and every practice is worth applying to the society. Similarly, regarding the tissue culture, this tissue culture best practice can earn a lot of revenue and can improve our agriculture. How that can be done? How that can be popularized at a very high level, I think, which is demanded by our new education policy also. And there is no match of them doing work for the disabled persons, and the work which is being done at Ranchi. regarding the youth development and working with the tribals practically, and how they have matched to the today's condition of COVID-19 at the Ranchi campus by using their best practice. Here I shall like to ask that they must have encountered some problems, some challenges in that, how to overcome such challenges. Of course, computer is the heart of everything these days. Even in today's presentation, Swamiji has done very well, the head of the computer department. Now the last part, the vows. These 5 vows should be there in every institution at the time of induction of the students to the institution. The language may be the regional language, as our new education policy says that every language we are to promote. So these 5 vows, how these can be adopted in every institution in our country. So feeling so happy and satisfied after listening all these presentations by the Swamis, and I wish that COVID era may end, and one day I may visit all these institutions, because myself, I am an I am a plant physiologist and studied from Punjab Agriculture University, Ludhiana for 10 years and did my degrees under Indian Council of Agriculture Research. So every word of the presentations I could follow today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Swamiji. Thank you, NAAC. Thank you, Dr. Kamble.
Rupak, do you have anything to
Rupa can talk about rural living and Deepankar on the COVID challenges of Ranchi.
Good. Rupa, unmute yourself.
Go first.
Thank you, madam, for your encouraging words. As I have understood that you want to know how that RLLE, practice can be taken up by other institutions. As I have mentioned in my presentation also, the first thing is that the students need to be oriented about the rural realities and fundamentals of agriculture, because without that it will be very difficult to handle the rural problems and understanding the complexities of rural system. That is the first thing. And the second thing is that you need to have a written document that can guide the students during the program, and the dedicated pool of resources at the center who will be mentoring the students throughout the program. These are the basic 3 basic things, and another thing which is external to the institution is established and formal linkage with the host institutions who will host the students, and especially the institutions which are working with the rural people for several years, so that they know what they are doing in the field, so they can add value to the RLLE program. But apart from that, I think the most important thing is to inculcate the value of RLLE. So in the orientation program itself, you need to inculcate the value that why RLLE is important and how that actually builds the confidence of the student, and at the same time they serve the society while still working or doing study in the university. I mean, this is not difficult. The difficult part is developing the student as a part of the course curricula. That takes at least 1 year. That's why after 1 year of completion of the course, we send the students to the field. So this is my submission. I mean, this is very general way of speaking. I think it helps.
Deepankar, can you?
Thank you, Rupak, for nicely explaining the importance of the rural living and learning experience. Yes, Madam rightly raised the concern. What we have combated with the situation of the COVID-19 during this period, our main strength is that the students who are mainly hailed from the rural and tribal areas. And in fact, the majority of the agricultural activities is still going on. So you have suggested our students, am I audible?
Yes, yes, sir.
So,
You are very much audible.
so we have instructed our students so that whatever they are doing in their own field for their family, to document it and send it to us. So in that, we have received some natural videos, the practices related to different agricultural activities as well as the different rural development activities, so that we can get that kind of videos, and we have just prepared it and sent it back to the students who are actually from the urban areas. So in that way, we have tried to somehow manage the practical aspect of the problem. So that is the way we have tried to combat this situation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I will answer the third question regarding the students' vows, Vidyarthi Vrata.
Yes.
So as you beautifully pointed out, this can be very easily taken up by all institutions, and we can have regional language translations of these. These are motivating mantras, and Ramakrishna Mission, all the institutions across the country, hundreds of them adopt this. Number one, at the beginning, the students should take a pledge. This is done even in the parliament level. The parliamentarians, including the President of India and the Chief Justice of India, they take vows that they will follow the Constitution and they live up to these vows. And we have found that young students get so much impressed at the very beginning of their educational career, and it stays on with them for the whole life. Many of them have told me these mantras have helped us later also in life. And when they pass out during the convocation, we reiterate and rejuvenate these vows, saying these vows we have taken at the beginning. Now again we are re-pledging and we are rededicating ourselves to those vows. And this is called Upakrama and Upasamhara in the method of Sanskrit, the method of understanding any scriptural text. At the beginning, what you did, at the end, what you did, there should be a continuity of thought, and this can be easily replicated if NAAC can facilitate. Coming together with institutions who are interested, we will be most happy to share these vows in all the regional languages of India.
Thank you. Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you so much. Feel blessed.
Yes, next, Samuel. Yeah.
No more questions, sir. You may go ahead.
Okay, Swamiji, I have one or two questions, then we will end because the time is over. So it was an excellent presentation, but one or two questions which I have, and I think so that can be narrated by all our stakeholders. It's a relative one. The question is, Swamiji, we have a 60% of our population agri-based, 250,000 villages, some 20 crore migrant workers have gone back to their villages. So on that basis, my query is that how we can utilize, because you have a good organic farming center, you are focusing on the rural living and learning experience, how we can utilize the maximum of our rural area for Atmanirbhar Bharat. It says, it goes unknowing, the saying goes without saying, without the concept, without the any specific figures and all that, that 13.5% of our GDPs and agri-based and 60% of our population is based on that. How this agri concept can be utilized for Atmanirbhar Bharat? Because you are in an institution which is doing so much, and it is essential that it should be spread pan-India. How it is possible from your end to make this?
Rupak Goswami, this question. Rupak Goswami. Please respond to this.
Yeah. I am taking this question, Maharaj. There are two observations. First, my latest studies of the recent literature that suggests that it is not going to be the case that all the migrant workers who have come back will stay in the villages. There is absolutely no way to believe that they will be staying in the villages. So this is the first observation. But nevertheless, the crisis of engaging the large number of rural youth in agriculture is a challenge, and that has been documented by ICAR also. To my understanding, has also been documented in the 12th plan approach paper, that is moving towards more local development of local farming system, which is called agroecological agriculture now, which has become popular in the Latin American countries and in Western Europe. So it's a kind of sustainable agroecological agriculture, which is somehow closely related to organic farming, which feeds a local economy. So development of local economy, which is based on sustainable agricultural systems, which is self-sufficient in nature. And based on that, we develop the agri-business model that links those small growers, small sustainable farming system in the local market. So that is a kind of shielding that system from the external uncertainties and climate changes, and make it a kind of local economy, a kind of gram swaraj based on sustainable farming systems, and then link them to the agro-based industries. So this is the kind of model which is, which I think, and which is also been taking shape in different documents by FAO of United Nations. But I am not really the right person to say how the university address these issues. But this is the real perspective that I get. That is the immediate solution, or the long-standing solution in the crisis of agro sector, that engages maximum number of rural people in India.
Yes, it's nicely answered, but related one again I will share with you. In one of the session of Niti Aayog, and Amitabh Kanji was saying that we have enough of potential, but still we are importing. For example, I will share, I think so, how meticulously you can answer. We are importing 3,000 crore tomato curry, and our farmers are throwing tomatoes. There is a lack of food processing unit. There is an intention behind asking, because your institution is devoted. It doesn't work for profit. So how that can be helpful to our India, to our economy, because there is a need of food processing unit to make it happen. Collaboratively, it can make it happen. There is a need of industry, government, and academia to work together. How do you look on this basis? How do you answer this? Because there is a need that can help to reset our Bharat. Please.
Yes, as a continuation of my previous argument, because there has been a large number of farmer producer organizations which is coming up in India. So the government of West Bengal is also popularizing them. And as a matter of fact, one of those programs have just asked our Ramakrishna Mission just yesterday to help them in developing those farmer producer organizations, so that farm-based livelihoods can be turned into viable businesses. So that is definitely going to play an important part, because the policy is supporting the farmer producer organization. But as I have mentioned, that should build on the sustainable farming system. Unless you make the farming system resilient to climate change and market, the whole model will fail. It is start from the sustainable farming system, and then link with the farmer producer organization, and then farmer producer organization links them to the larger market. So that is the way that we can think about it.
Okay, good, nice. Okay, you have answered it correctly, Rupakji. One saying I think so I should quote here, and that you can utilize it in your narrations or in your academic concept. That is, whenever unemployment goes up, self-employment also goes up. There is a need to pay attention to this direction. So it was a good session, I think so. Before moving with a formal vote of thanks, few things I would like to share here. What I found here, that is, your institution is moving ahead with 5 necessary contents which our Prime Minister often narrates about education. That you are moving ahead with that access, access, equity, quality, accountability, and affordability. Very nicely moving ahead. So I really congratulate all you Swamis, good united work and efforts you people are doing it. And then, yes, nicely presentation made by Dr. Muthia ji, Dr. Rupak ji, Dr. Dipankar ji, and Dr. Aditya ji. And then all Anandas are there. I see 5 Anandas in my list. Atma Priya ji, Sarvata ji, Dhangam ji, and Vedartha ji, and Kirti Prada ji. One thing I would like to know from you, why there is Ananda for all these 5 names? Please, it's a good one. I think so. It's something jolly.
I will answer this question.
Yes.
Because there is so much of Nirananda in this world, Dukkha, the opposite of Dukkha is Ananda. And the Upanishads, which are the end of the Vedas called Vedanta, does not have a single word Dukkha in any of the Upanishads.
Oh.
The Shvetashvatara, Dukkhantam, the end of Dukkha is mentioned. That means the Upanishad, the rishis were full of bliss. And the name of God, Brahman, in the Upanishad is called Ananda, Vijnanam Anandam Brahma. The Taittiriya Upanishad says, all of us came from Ananda, they are sustained by Ananda, and again we go back to Ananda. Ananda dhyeva khalvimani bhutani jayante ena jatani jivanti anandam prayante visambhishanti tad vijigyasasva tad brahmeti. And therefore, those of us who have renounced all worldly pursuits and worldly ambitions, in pursuit of that Brahman or God, should have in their very names Ananda, so that by repeating this word Ananda, all of you, the entire world will also be full of Ananda.
So nice. I was expecting the answer from you, Sri Atma Priyananda ji, Swami ji. So nice. बहुत बढ़िया आपने इसको.
Not only answer, Devendra ji. You have to relinquish NAAC, family, everything. That is what Swamiji has conveyed.
So nice, so nice. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. Now I request our Dr. Nilesh Pandey ji to give formal vote of thanks.
Namaskar to one all who are participating in today's webinar. Starting with respected Honorable Director Professor S.C. Sharma sir, Deputy Advisor Dr. Deven Kavade sir, Academic Consultant Chandrasekhar sir, Assistant Advisor Dr. Ruchi Tripathi, my colleagues of NAAC, Institution Pro Chancellor Swami Atma Priyananda ji, Vice Chancellor Swami Sarvotmananda ji, Institution IQAC Coordinator Swami Dhyanagamme Nanda ji, faculty, staffs of Ramakrishna Mission, Vivekananda Educational and Research Institute, and all the participants from various parts of the country, and my dear colleagues. On this occasion, it gives me an immense pleasure to propose a vote of thanks for this Best Practices Series webinar hosted by NAAC and presented by Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda Educational and Research Institute. First of all, I am very much thankful to our Honorable Director Professor S.C. Sharma sir for his valuable support, encouragement, and providing the opportunity for organizing this webinar. I am thankful to Dr. Deven Kavade sir, Deputy Advisor NAAC, for his continuous support in making this program successful. I would like to thank Dr. Ruchi Tripathi, Assistant Advisor NAAC, for taking the efforts in organizing this webinar and for the introduction of speaker and other officers of the institute. Now, I would like to explain my deep gratitude to the Ramakrishna Mission, Vivekananda Educational and Research Institute, Pro Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, and IQC Coordinator for accepting our request immediately and responded positively for making presentation on the best practices incorporated by the institution. In this occasion, I would like to thank all the speakers, Dr. Bhutia, Dean of Faculty of Disability Management and Special Education, Dr. Rupa Goswami, Professor in the Faculty of Integrated Rural Development Management, Dr. Dipankar Chatterjee, Professor in Agriculture and Tribal Development Management, Dr. Aditya, Assistant Professor in Department of Physics, Swami Veda Arthananda ji, Assistant Professor in Department of Sanskrit, Swami Kirti Pradhananda ji, Registrar for Dealing Best Practices in an excellent way. Sir, your presentation will be definitely create an encouragement to many other institutions to follow and implement the best practices to improve the quality in higher education. Thank you all. Now, I would also like to thank Mr. Samuel for moderating the question and answer session. In this webinar, on behalf of NAAC family, I am extremely thankful to all the participants from different parts of the country who have actively participated in today's webinar. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thanks, Dr. Nilesh. So many thanks. Something from your side has to be done, sir. Okay. So, yes, it's nice. I appeal to all the participants. Tomorrow we are continuing with one more institution. We will be presenting on the best practice adopted by them. So please register yourself and take the benefit. This is a unique exercise conducted by NAAC, providing an opportunity to all the stakeholders of higher education in the country to learn new things related with the best practices.
So we'll end with a mantra.
Yes, Swamiji.
We'll end one mantra as usual.
Yes,
Yes, Swamiji. Yes,
that was waited. That was waited.
मुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति ॐ तत्सत् श्रीरामकृष्णार्पणमस्तु.
Thank you so much to NAAC for giving us this great opportunity and the excellent arrangements we have made. Thanks to Devendraji and Chandrasekhar ji, all your colleagues, Director and Dr. Rama, everybody. Please convey our regards.
So nice. Namaskar. Thank you. Namaste.